going on, everybody? This is Guys Talking Sports. I'm your host, Al Qualls, and welcome to another edition of Guys Talking Sports. We got a lot to talk about today, so we're just gonna get right into it. Got my guest host with me, Earl Ross. So what's going on, man? Earl, how you doing today?
Good, loving the spring snow. I got my wine, so I'm all good as well. And still in HD.
Yes, definitely in HD. But we're gonna get started. I guess we need to talk about before we get into the NBA talk, which we have lots of time to talk about and discuss. Real quick, the tragic story of the killing of former New Orleans player that got killed in a road rage incident. I forgot the name of it. Earl, you're gonna have to help me out because it's just off the tip of my tongue right now.
Will Smith was
Yes,
the.
Will Smith. Thank you very much. Let me. You know what? I do want to say my condolences goes out to his family. Uh, this is something that no one should have to go through, especially how it actually ended. So, Earl, let me get your thoughts on that before I speak more about it.
We're really coming from a legal standpoint. We do know that the incident occurred a few nights ago, and where just by what reports are saying that it was an accident, apparently road rage that kind of went awry. The two guys started, going at Will Smith and the assailant, and we don't know exactly the manner of the confrontation. All we do know is that words were spoken, and then there was a gun pulled out. 6 shots fired, 4 into Will Smith, of course, a former Saints player, and he was with the Saints when they won their one and only Super Bowl a couple of years back. His wife was hit 2 times in the leg. As the reports are saying, she is fine now. The assailant himself is in custody, and we found out a little bit more that apparently that the Arizona Cardinals cornerback Tyrann Mathieu actually knew this guy and sent out a particular angry tweet either last night or early today. We still don't know the manner of why. I mean, I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did he said that he knew what the person that pulled the trigger?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So he knew the person that pulled the trigger. And apparently, like I said, the reports are still coming out. We don't know the exact reasoning why he was shot, but we do know that there was an altercation, road rage, and then I heard a report a little earlier today that apparently Will Smith himself had a loaded handgun in the car. However, that gun had not been fired. So, like I said, our hearts goes out to his family, everything. But the situation still appears to be very fluid, and we're just trying to kind of waiting to see what the investigation leads to and why this all occurred. And to me, something just about this doesn't all just seem right, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't know the gist of the information until you just told me. I didn't have time to really catch up on what particularly happened with him. But if it was a road rage incident, it's I one of the things that I'm very like I mean, road rage to me is I'm just it's I guess it's not for me it's not all that serious to get to for it to be escalated to that point. um Now the fact that he had a loaded handgun, that's interesting in itself, but I'm just curious. I definitely would like to hear more information about it, but it's still just a sad thing that happened to anybody that gets caught out there. I mean, when the road rage happens, yeah, usually things escalate, but it should never escalate to the point where you're actually killing someone. And that's why I'm saying, like, my heart goes to the victims' families. I don't know who started or how it got to that point, but it should never end with somebody losing their life over something like that.
No, we always have instances of road rage that always goes awry. I mean, you never know who is, who how a person is. So, we all kind of, get mad at people when they cut you off and do stuff like that. But like I said, the issue is still pretty fluid. More facts are going to come out within the next couple of days, even weeks. But I mean, it's definitely a tragic situation. Guns, no matter whether you're, defending yourself or you're pulling it out, there's is never a good. It never ends up well.
You're exactly right. It never ends out well, and just I mean, again, my heart goes out to the family that's affected by this. Um, I mean, because it's to me, it's just it's kind of a bad way to go out. You know what I'm saying? Just for this to happen, it's just very unfortunate.
Exactly, and like I said, you never want to hear about things like this happen, but unfortunately, this is almost a regular occurrence. Maybe you can go off topic for an hour or so talking about guns, how they're played, but just a very very sad and unfortunate situation.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, uh, we until we find out more. I mean, basically, I just we just want to wait until more information comes out before we talk anything more and discuss it even a little bit further down the road. Maybe once we hear more information, maybe next week's show we could talk more in discussion about just the NFL or just all like pro athletes in general that carry handguns. Maybe that's something that we could talk about on a serious topic, but. That's something that we could definitely discuss that somewhere down the road. But to get on to a lighter note, sort of a lighter note, you were saying to me in regards, and I just found out from what you told me about Macau, Josh, being suspended, and I guess about the marijuana situation.
Oh yeah, I mean, how stupid is he? I mean, all right, you were suspended all of last year because you couldn't keep yourself off of your controlled substance. Then you failed a random drug test last month, and now you possibly might get suspended again for another year. You try for reinstatement, that was denied. You can't apply for another reinstatement appeal until August the 1st. So I'm like, what are you doing, man? No, put it down. I mean, put down the weed. It's not that serious. I mean, you have a job, and you mean tell me that you just can't, stop that for a second?
I'm so sorry. Um, that's on me. I had to help out my son um, with a accident, an incident that just happened. So my fault. What was you saying in regards to? We were talking about the. I'm sorry. Catch me up to speed of what you was talking about.
Oh, I was saying that yeah, he was out for a year because of the substance abuse incident that he drug test he failed.
Uh huh.
Then he fails another one last month, and now wants to apply for a pill, but he can't apply for that appeal until August the 1st. And you mean you have a career online, you had, possibly, all pro talent. You had the 1 year where you were definitely, really making moves and was definitely putting people on notice. And you can't get your act together just because you don't know how to lay down, the endo smoke. Come on now.
Well, before I mean, here's the problem with this. And to be honest, this is I mean, and I was gonna get on this as another topic down the road, but the problem is that the NFL, and I'm not defending him. Don't get me wrong. The problem is that the NFL, the way things are constructed right now, you got so many different states where that is now legal to do, and yet, you know, it's it's kind of mess. It's so people. I mean, athletes may feel as though that it's legal in their states to do it. So what's the problem? But the issue is that of course the NFL didn't legalize it in their states, and if it's still banned, it's still banned. But I think this is something that's going to be it's just going to construct to a bigger issue because you see a lot of now you see athletes, former athletes or media writers are requesting that maybe like certain professional leagues like the NFL, the NBA should legalize marijuana, and it's starting to become like a yellow tape of sorts for this. You know what I'm saying? Like for this to be at a point where it is right now. Now, granted, this he should have known better. Granted, he's been suspended for the same reason, and the fact is that if you cannot adhere to the NFL rules, then you shouldn't be playing. Like I'm very strict on the policies and believe that there's a three-strike rule. Like after a third strike, if you don't get your act together, there's no helping you. So I think that and I don't understand why players want to appeal certain things. I mean, granted, they may have an argument, or maybe it is legalized in their state, but at the end of the day, the NFL set rules for a reason, and if that's a rule that you have to adhere to, then you need to adhere to it. I mean, it's a privilege to be playing in the NFL. It's a privilege to play in NBA. It's a privilege to play in these professional leagues. And if you don't want to do it, there's plenty of guys that are itching to get into that league and take your spot. So I just don't understand. Like it's just because you made it in the NFL doesn't mean that you're always going to stay in the NFL. There's always going to be competition after your particular spot. And if you don't obey the rules, that's just putting that's just giving an extra incentive for them to get somebody else. Like I just don't understand it from a player's perspective.
I don't get it either. Like you said, the rules are the rules. You know what they are. I mean, of course, it's not like we don't know. There are probably going to be people who know ahead of time when certain tests are going to come down. But if you are aware of that, or even have a general idea of when the stuff is going down, okay, cycle off whatever you're doing. I mean, people are going to do whatever they want to do on the time off. But if you know that, smoking weed or anything is against the NFL rules, then don't do it. Off season, when you're not playing, okay, that's whatever you want to do is whatever you want to do. But when it's coming around to OTAs, and they're going to start practicing there, or if you are a person who's been an habitual offender of that, then keep your nose clean until you get back on the field. And even once you get back on the field, you should at least have an idea of when those random tests are going to come. If not, just lay it off for a while until the off season.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, to be honest, it's not just about the marijuana. It's just it's everything else. Like if you know that you're playing in the NFL, you would do everything that you need to do to stay away from any drama and just focusing on football. Like I mean, going out to clubs late at night or doing things that that you may have you may get caught doing. It's just I just never understood that. Like if you're in the league and you know that why put yourself in that type of atmosphere? It's almost like it's similar to, and like the Plexico Burris thing. Like that alone to me is just like I just never understood it. Like, you know, unfortunately he did shoot himself, but the point I'm making is that why put yourself in that predicament to begin with? Like if you know for a fact that you shouldn't, if you need protection, hang around with your posse or hang around with your peoples. Why bring a handgun to? Why even go that route? I just never understood it.
I mean, I don't know. There's some people could say that they believe they're, above the law. They're held at a higher standard. I think that a lot of times people enable them for such a long time that they just feel like, what they're going to do, they're not going to have those kind of consequences and repercussions. I mean, like Plexico Bird's case, I'm pretty sure that wasn't the first time he had a gun walking around, but you went into the club with a gun and nobody patted you down. I've been in a lot of clubs in New York, and trust me, they pat you down. They got wands, they got bullet detectors, but for those guys, well, come right on in. So they just are used to that. And Josh Gordon, I mean, he's probably been enabled even back when he was in Baylor. I mean, all the trouble he got to back there, he's been enabled and passed along because he could play. And now he's in the NFL, and he's not getting completely, absolved of this, but they're giving him a very, very long leash on this one, and I think they want him. At least the Cleveland Browns want a return on their investments, because they picked this guy and they want him to be on the field and play. But I think at a certain time, even Cleveland Browns have got to cut their losses.
But the Cleveland Browns is so hypocritical because they just cut Johnny Manziel. You know what I'm saying? Like and I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like but you can't. If you're going to give a leash on him, I mean, your leash should be equal with Johnny Manziel, from my understanding. Like you ban dude for. I mean, it's just crazy. Like you know, it's no different from Manziel and his drinking and going out than my man with the marijuana use. I just never understood it. Like from a standpoint, if you're going to be at some stage at this point, and not for nothing, but if you're going to do it privately. You know what I'm saying? Or like say if you're going to drink, stay home and drink, or whatever the case may be. You know, or it cut the drinking in its entirety where you don't have to worry about the issue. Like you're risking yourself, your endorsements, and everything else because of something that you can control. It's not like it's an addiction. This is something you can control with the marijuana use. Unless I'm mistaken that that's something that you can't control, something that you need help in doing, then get the help.
Yeah, and who knows? It might just be help. And then on top of that, you have Johnny Manziel and Josh Gordon rooming together. Is that not the blind leading the blind in this case? I mean, both of them are just, you know, out of control.
No, and what makes it funny, the Browns is just, all I can say is the Browns are the Browns at this point. Um, It'd be interesting to see how their OT. I mean, I'm be honest. I wish they did a hard knocks on them. That would be very interesting. I would definitely be interested in watching that.
I mean, could you imagine this 24/7 media blitz back in the day with the old Dallas Cowboys back when they had Irvin and the rest of them jokes, Charles Haley, when they were running ragged with all the holes in the coke and everything? I
Yeah.
mean, and they were, whew, the stories I heard about those guys, they were serious.
Well, that's athletes. That's some of the athletes today. So they still on about that. Like so, I can't. That's them. I can't knock it. I can't knock it. But I'm just saying, just be more responsible. I mean, you can't get caught out there doing the same thing twice. Like that to
No,
me, like one time I got, it's a mistake, whatever. You need to learn from your mistakes. You can't just I'm just gonna continue doing it. Like I don't care what the NFL is going to do about it. It's like, yo, this is a privilege, man. Like you really need to like say to myself, yo, I need to take a step back and reevaluate this because truth be told, it's going to be, that leash is going to get get to the point where they're just going to cut you off in its entirety, and then no team is going to really look at you. Then what are you going to do?
Yeah, and if I was the Cleveland Browns, I would just cut my losses with Josh Brown. I mean, you already cut your losses with Johnny Manziel. Who knows where he's going to go? Cut your losses with Josh Gordon, and just say, the hell with it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I have to agree. Like, you gotta get to the point where, or at least if you're going to give him another chance, you gotta put some strict rules into play. Like, I would do something where, and to be honest, going forward as an organization, if I'm the owner of the organization, all jokes aside, any contract that I don't care about the talent or anything. Any contract that a player that size that wants to be a part of the organization, there has to be some type of clause in there about stuff like this. If
Yep.
where if you get arrested or get like if you get penalized by the NFL, I'm gonna have to dock you, get dock you, something like that to an extent, because you want professionalism, and all this is doing is hurting the Cleveland Browns brand with stuff like this. And I hopefully I'm not saying it to just to say that I'm just saying that at this point for athletes is there got to be some professionalism and some decorum or some help that's there for you. If you know the rules are the rules, and if you can't adhere by the rules, then there's got to be some penalty involved.
I totally agree.
So, but I mean, we could talk a little bit more about that situation later, and we could go into a further discussion in another episode where we could talk about the guns and just athletes in general. But before we wrap things up, I do want to talk to you because the NBA season is winding down, and eventually they're gonna give out the awards and stuff like that for like MVP, six man, defensive player of the year. And I don't know if you've been watching majority of the NBA's games, but just your predictions of who's going to win like the MVP, who's going to win six man of the year and defensive player of the year.
Well, like I said, I didn't get really a chance to tune into the really a little bit after the second half of the season, really after the All Star break, once football and everything kind of died down. So, but what I've been watching sparingly, MVP, I think by all intents and purposes, I would say Steph Curry with Russell Westbrook as not a close two, but I think that Steph Curry should get probably unanimous, MVP awards. I mean, he's been killing it, and I mean, heck, if they should give it the most improved player, but they probably won't give him that as well. But in my opinion, Steph Curry should be MVP without even a thought. Coach of the year, you can either go with probably either Steve Kerr, or I'll probably go with the coach of the Boston Celtics, because the heck of the job he's doing over there with the Celtics, because they're balling, much improved. As far as defensive player of the year and the sixth man, I can't say. I'm not too sure. I will probably maybe defer that to you if you watch a little bit more. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think as the season is winding down, I would definitely say that at least for my MVP, that'll be my vote if I had a vote.
No, I agree with that. I first because to be honest, MVP, I completely agree. Unanimously, it should be Steph Curry. I just have a feeling that somebody's going to pick somebody other than Steph Curry to not make it unanimous. Uh, and Russell Westbrook, I would definitely give a nod to between him or Kawhi Leonard. At that point, I mean, whoever is second, those are the top three, if anything, for MVP for my vote. Um, Real quick, Coach of the Year. I definitely would say Brad Stevens of Boston Celtics. I would also between Brad Stevens, Boston Celtics, and also Terry Slots from the Portland Trailblazers,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah,
what he did with losing all four of his starting players last year, and to do what he did with this team and still have Damian Leonard, of course, but to
yeah.
make the playoffs, because I'm gonna be really honest with you. When they lost all four starters, I thought they was going to be at the bottom. I thought they was going to be beneath the Lakers, and that was, that was my personal opinion about it. I really had them ranked low. So, but
Heck, even the case could be made for even Damian Lillard. To get MVP now for damn sure carrying that team.
yeah, yes, I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. To be honest, and it's funny because and truth be told, I would put him over LeBron at this point.
Oh
If it
yeah.
was like a top five for the MVP, I mean, he's well deserved for carrying that team on his back to put them fifth, fighting for fourth or fifth, not the bottom of the playoffs, but fourth or fifth. Like you cannot. That's why I said Terry Stotts. If anything, if Brad Stevens don't get it, and if Terry Stotts get it, I would be happy with either one of them getting it because this is well deserved.
Mm.
Defensive Player of the Year, that's a tough one. Probably would I would I was I don't know if I would give it to DeAndre Jordan just yet. Um, because I still think Draymond Green or no, if anybody, I probably would give it to Kawhi Leonard more so than anything because of his ability, and I don't see him no being the other reason why he should not get it. So, um, also, let's see, Six Men of the Year. I really haven't paid attention. To be honest, I really don't know. Only person I say that I've been watching lately, which is kind of funny, is Jeremy Lin. Because how he's playing
Linsanity.
in yeah, how he's playing in Charlotte as a six man is very scary. And he's doing a wonderful job there. And that's pretty much who I saw. I mean, I guess you could give it to like Iguodala or Jamal Crawford. I could see that happening, but Jeremy Lin, to me, I think is really stepped up to be a valuable six man candidate. And of course, Carl Anthony Towns representing Piscataway, New Jersey, of course, for Rookie of the Year. Um, I mean, that's unanimous. I just don't see anybody else, rookie wise, that's on his level. Originally, it was talk between him and Porzingis, but as Porzingis has fell so far, um, I'm not saying out of conversation. He may be second, but I think Carl Anthony Towns won this hands down. So
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, Porzingis, I think he kind of teetered off, and I think that was, I think that was bound to happen. I mean, his he's good. I think he's definitely got a lot of upside over the next couple of years. Um, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. I was muted. Sorry.
Okay. No, I was saying definitely think that Porzingis definitely has some upside over the year, but I would definitely say Carl Anthony Towns definitely has the inside track, in my opinion, for rookie of the year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well. I'm not going to get. We could talk more about the NBA stuff down the road when the playoffs starts this Saturday. But
I just have
I
one question. One question. Your opinions being how tomorrow night is going to be the last game of the Black Mama. What
ah
are, what are your thoughts on Kobe Jellybean Bryant's career? And where do you think it ranks or stacks up to the top? Or in
uh,
that or in that or where do you think it ranks up as far as some of your upper echelon of NBA players in the past?
well, I'll put it like this. I mean, there's never going to be another person like him. Um, his dedication and ethic and his focus, his determination. I mean, to be honest, that's one of the things I admired about him. He's basically been that type of person where if he wants something, he'll get it. He'll go after it. He'll work hard enough to do what's necessary to get it. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He didn't held anything back. That's one of the things that I liked about him. I put it like this: I respect him a lot because of what he's done to the NBA. Where so many times now we see people where everybody's talking about how maybe the NBA has gone soft or going a different way. Kobe is that person that's a driven person, and he's determined to win championship every year that he's played. I mean, that's always been his focus, and he'll do the work necessary, the hard work necessary, even in the off season, to become one of the greatest at what he does. And to be honest, I rank him as the number two shooting guard in NBA history, and that's just my opinion for what I've seen. And I'm not saying I don't know about the history previous to what I've seen. For what I've seen, I put Michael Jordan one, and I definitely have to put Bryant two. And to be honest, he could even fight for a number one because of the amount of championships he's won. And staying with the same team and the longevity factor. So I he's definitely one of the greats, all time greats, especially in the shooting guard position. I just don't see any other comparison to him. I mean, he's mirrored off of Michael Jordan himself. He's done everything he's done everything to literally take stuff from Jordan as far as his work ethic, his practice, everything that he does. Kobe was doing, and he was carrying the Lakers franchise from the time he's been there. And to be honest, the Lakers is going to really miss him. And it's I don't see anybody he can really pass that torch to. And the Lakers next season are going to realize how much of a factor he's been.
Yeah, I agree, and I think right now, I think we're even seeing it because Kobe on his farewell tour, everything, his shooting percentage has been the most abysmal I've seen out of his entire career. Now, granted, the mileage, the pain on the legs, everything is just, he has no lift when you see him jump. I mean, he has lift in maybe like the first 5 minutes of the first quarter of a game, but outside of that, it's like he got cement shoes on there. But no, I agree. Kobe is probably. You always talking about who's going to be next MJ, who's going to be next MJ. There was, Harold Miner. There was, Grant. Even people try to even say LeBron, which I think LeBron is not Michael Jordan. That's not by a long shot. He's different. But I think that if you want to talk about who was the next MJ with that intensity and that skill set and that killer mentality, definitely he is. And I think that he's done a lot for the game. I think his brand of leadership was not quite like Jordan's. I think Jordan was a little bit more jovial, and I think a lot of people gravitated towards him. I think that the way that Kobe was in practice and in the games just kind of turned some people off. And I think that's maybe why you didn't get a lot of people who wanted to go because Kobe wasn't always that willing to give up the rock unless he was secure enough to know that if I gave you the rock, you're going to do something with it. So, but still, I mean, you can't knock the work ethic. You can't knock this intensity level of play. Like I said, I would probably say number two shooting guard. And I think that, people could talk about how LeBron James over the last probably, I want to say 6 to 7 years was probably the best player in the league. I would say that maybe LeBron James was probably the best player over the last 4 years. Because even when they was talking about those, LBJ, Kobe was still a beast. I mean, the stuff that he was pulling off on that back-to-back run. Well, let's even take into context. He went to three finals off one year, went to another finals, lost them when they played against Detroit, and then went to three finals when he played Boston, and then he played Boston again, and then he played the Orlando Magic. And I mean, outside of the last game of that Boston series where they got beat, he was a monster in all three finals. Say what you want about him, but he was a monster. And you can't say that about anybody else in that league. I mean, he didn't win them all, but damn sure he was in seven of them. And you can't say that about anybody, not even Jordan.
No, I agree with that, and that's one of the things that I'm going to miss is because of his legacy. Because whoever, there's really no one else that has that determination as far as what I see now, and he's an old school player. That's basically what it is. He's an old school player that is going to be missed. He's going to be missed. I mean, when you see the league going in a different direction, people are going to reminisce about the things that Kobe Bryant has done and accomplished. and you that's something that you just can't duplicate. That's something that you just can't duplicate. And hopefully down the road, people will start to appreciate him a lot more for the things that he brought to on and off the court as well.
Yeah, the only person I can see with that killer instinct or that intensity, the closest thing I've seen that on the court right now is probably Russell Westbrook. Not quite like it, but the only similarity is the way that he approaches the game at times.
No, no. And to be honest, you're absolutely right. I think I can see I can see how I can see how Russell can be. Yes, I can see that. I can definitely see that. I definitely see that. And to be honest, it's funny because a lot of people are saying like Russell, this is just like the tip of the iceberg. Like Russell can be, he, they're saying that Russell can be a future MVP in the making. So.
I believe he can. I can't. It won't be with the Thunder. Not if Durant is on there.
No, I agree with that. I mean, to be honest, he doesn't need another, how can I put this? He doesn't need another wing player for him to be successful. I think he needs someone that can score down low. I think that would benefit him more. Um, he- the offense right now for them is it's not really it's even though he's doing what he needs to do, it's not helping them as a team aspect is concerned, and we can get more talk more about that, about what the Thunders, what they need to do, what Westbrook needs to do as well, what Kevin Durant needs to do because his free agency is coming up. So
Mm.
we're going to do some predictions and see where that rolls, see where that goes. But for now, we're going to stop right here. I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch Guys Talking Sports. I really do appreciate it. Sorry it took so long. I mean, sorry for me stepping out, but it was an emergency that I had to take care of. But for everybody, you can catch Guys Talking Sports. Doing this every week, and we'll post it out on YouTube. For all those YouTube subscribers, thanks very much for checking us out, and get other people to subscribe. We really do appreciate the subscribers. I'd like to thank my guest host Earl Ross for checking us out and coming through and giving intake. And Earl, man, tell them where they can find you at.
You can find me at the hotspot. Sorry, no, just joking. uh, you can find me on the gram at JEROSS the number 7. Same handle with Twitter, and I'm actually on Facebook as well. Not as much as I used to be, but I'm still on there.
All right. And of course, you can find me at I am Al Qualls. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter as well. Also, I set up a new page for Guys Talking Sports on Facebook. So I will send the links out. So to make sure y'all guys check that out. Also on Instagram, I'm going to be doing short clips here and there to get my take on other things that's going on in the world of sports. For you Nets fans, I know you've been asking, so I will give my predictions and my overall summary in 15 seconds of the Nets season, and we'll talk more about that. But for now, this is Guys Talking Sports, and I'd like to thank you guys for watching. And until next time, you guys take care, be safe, and I'll talk to y'all later.